you would probably not need much medication. You take painkillers, warm drinks, keep hydrated, um, and most of the time you wouldn't need antibiotics. The difference between common cold and the influenza virus is that the common cold, you'll know the difference. I mean, if you have the influenza virus, it comes with it's more generally more severe. In fact, that you'll get more tired, um, probably more headaches. Headache will be more intense. Coughing will get more severe, etc. That's the main difference. Where the other ones were about kind of a cold where you get it for a few days and then you're fine. It normally would not be systemic as compared to this one. As I said again, most people will recover from it, but it's for young for babies, for example, elderly, those with certain kind of illnesses like diabetics. It's more sort of more serious.
Is it possible to have these people who are vaccinated against flu?
Um, and well, I am sure if we had the means, and that that definitely would be or would have been considered. I mean, obviously, um, once these people are vaccinated yearly, I mean, during this time of the year, you see the risk of them having complications is much reduced. But what also happens is that with the vaccination, you have different strains of the influenza virus from year to year. So you always have to be prepared to and change the vaccines depending on the prevailing uh, sort of strain that they have. But yes, if the uh, ability was there, I think it would be a good idea. Yes. When you eat something that's a pepper soup, because of the spices, it will help dilate and expand, some of the vessels. That's what it does. But it will not kill the virus. So it will reduce the congestion, feeling that stuffy nose. So that, yeah. So it's okay. I mean, of course, you don't take too much. Yeah. Yeah, fruits are fine. I mean, they're okay. Lots of fluids, analgesics, as painkillers, paracetamol. If it's persisting, let's say more than 4 days, 5 days, or you're finding it difficult to swallow, your breathing is getting more difficult, you're feeling dizzy, very high temperature, then you should go and seek medical attention. Dr. Cole and Lemstic, and all those syrup, yeah, they're all remedial. They help relieve the symptoms. They will help with they all mostly contain some paracetamol. Instead of having the pepper soup, you'll have those things that will help expand the blood vessels um, in the nose. So it's pretty much the same, but they're just been made in a way that is in a pharmaceutical way. But yeah, in fact, in some countries, in fact, in most countries in Europe, they will not give you any antibiotic if you have flu, unless it has complications. As I say, and most young, healthy people uh, should or would be able to tolerate or go through or survive the flu with certain minimal remedies, painkillers, a lot of fluids. Yeah. Some people use vitamin C. Um, as far as you're eating well, you don't have any underlying chest problem, diabetic, hypertensive, and there are no other problems, you should normally recover. When you're among crowds, somebody's coughing, try and cover the nose. Please don't cough directly onto people. Keep warm. Have a lot of fluids. Drink a lot of fluids. If having symptoms of the flu, take paracetamol. Um, Fruits are fine. If people to help, that's fine. You also have that. And normally you should feel better. Sometimes it can be very, very disturbing. And a lot of people, that's what people get scared because of that. Like, totally can feel very tired. Because that's due to the fact that the virus is producing toxins among your body. But normally you will recover. Um, but if you don't, after 3-4 days or so, and your symptoms are getting worse, you're not feeling any much better, then you should please seek medical attention.
This year is predicted to be slightly cooler than previous years. To know more and why, Seasons is joined by George Stratford of the Central Focus Office.
We have an MSG, which is the Meteosat second generation workstation. We have several products that we look at. Initially, we look at the synoptic observations. After looking at the synoptic observations, we go through the satellite observations too. The synoptic observation is global, but it can be curtailed to the area of interest that you're doing your forecast. So here you can see the plotted observations, the synoptic observations that has been done worldwide every 3 hours. Major is every 6 hours, intermediate is every 3 hours. So here you can see the observation that has been done. It's of all our region, and it's every 3 hours. So here they are in coded forms. Observers do the observations, and then the forecaster will decode the information. Yeah, it comprises of temperature, wind direction and speed, pressure, dew point, etc. Different meteorological elements or variables in that matter. So we study these charts and also look at the remote sensors. That's the satellite imagery. This is infrared. We have three different channels. You have the visible, infrared, and the water vapor. The visible usually is only during the day because they reflect information on the ground or clouds. But IR is mainly emittance. Yeah. And water vapor, the patterns you see, it's mainly between the middle troposphere. It's good to go global because usually, you know, the weather systems, they move. They're not just static. They move from one region to the next. So it's good, in fact, not global as such, but regionally. Yeah, you look what is happening around your surroundings, and then you'll be able to predict what is occurring. You know, the winds affect the systems. Like in the tropics here, our system moves from the east coming to the west, whilst usually in the mid-latitudes, they move from the west to the east. So it's good to see the interaction of all these different systems, how they move. So you cannot just look at the Gambia alone. You have to go regional and at times even global, especially if you want an extended range forecast. The variation in the weather is due to the different variables. As I mentioned, the elements, the pressure, the temperatures, etc. Those are the variables which are really influencing the weather. You see, and with the pressure systems, as I mentioned, you know, like in the mid-latitudes, they move from the west to the east, whilst in the tropics, all our systems to the west. Yeah, so this variable, as they propagate, they really change the weather patterns. But when you are talking of climate, generally, you don't only look at those few elements. You look at even the sea surface temperatures, you look at blocking patterns in the mid-latitudes, etc. And then even the greenhouse effect. Yeah.
Now that we are at the beginning of the cold season, can it be predicted what will be the temperature distribution across the country?
Yeah, we have our global centers which run models, and we have access to some of these models. Yeah, so all you do is, here we mainly deal with interpretation, although we have our own seasonal forecast too, whereby we can also do our own predictions, but we need inputs from those products, yeah, from the global centers, like the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, from NCEP, that is the National Center for Environmental Prediction. So, for example, West Africa, you can just go on. So you see, this is for midnight. I said the 8th midnight. So that's the distribution of the temperature. And then you can go forward in time, and it's every 6 hours.